Welcome to the BigMx Radio podcast. This episode brought to you by Racetech and Moto X Dream 360. I am your host, Brad Gebhardt. With me on the line for the third time in as many weeks is none other than Denny Stephenson and Chris Riesenberg. Chris, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for not only making time for us, but also supporting us with Racetech.
Absolutely. I just can't quit talking about Anaheim 1, so we might as well record it and get people fired up. And I think we have a really cool thing going here with the group that we have here in the trio. So hopefully we can provide some entertainment and prove Denny wrong a few more times.
Absolutely. We've been ganging up on him a little bit over the last couple of weeks, but he's a bit of a glutton for punishment, taking us up on the offer one more time to come on the show. Like I said off the rip last show, the 1990 East Coast 125 Supercross champion, no slouch whatsoever, behind the controls of a dirt bike, Denny Stephenson. What's going on, Debo?
Just glad to be busting out a little bit more preview show for this Anaheim 1 2023 Supercross season. Yeah, we've done a 450, we've done a 250, and now let's just take a chance to just kind of wrap everything up and see what we're looking for this weekend. I'm pretty excited. I think as everyone is, there's nothing like an opening round of a new season, a new year, and we're going to kick it off with Anaheim. Hopefully it's not a mutter.
Weather looks to be good. The weather for tonight, tomorrow, Saturday, all looks good. There is a lot of standing water at the stadium. But aside from that, I think that we're going to have some soft transitions, some soft bottoms of corners, but everything else is going to be standard Supercross. We're not going to have to worry about that. But yeah, like I said, I do appreciate you coming on. And honestly, I am so excited about this because I've been wanting to do a show like this. But it's always been sort of my idea, and bringing it to some people who might not be nearly as excited about doing it as I did. And honestly, like this, the reason why we're on the show right now is that Chris sort of had this idea, like sort of because we had such good chemistry the first couple of times we're on the show, why don't we keep this momentum going? And his brainchild sort of like developed into this awesome email that I got first thing this morning. And Chris, why don't you kind of give the listeners and the viewers a little bit of a peek behind the curtain as far as what it is we look to achieve today?
Well, I mean, Denny and I have been arguing about dirt bike races via text thread for a long time, and we have a really good knack of just going straight at each other and pulling facts out or opinions out to disagree with each other. And I mean, we both admittedly said, I will go pull numbers and modify them to prove a point just because of the sake of an argument, even if I've already been convinced that I'm wrong, because I'm never going to be wrong. And with that dynamic, then we started traveling a little bit to some races, and we're like, we need to just record this thing into a podcast. And I told him I didn't want to do it until we could do it professionally and do it right, because I don't do anything halfway. And so when the preview shows came up, it was a cool opportunity for us to get together and really test that dynamic. And it turns out that the three of us, I think, are a really, really good dynamic together. So I think we can do a really good job to present a different side of the sport previewing. There's a lot of review content, but there's not a ton of preview content. And so it's a chance for us to look forward at each and every race. And I mean, most of the time we'll have the previous race to talk about a little bit, but really I want to focus on the storylines moving forward. This one, obviously, we'll talk about the off-season headlines and set up our draft to preview the 2023 Supercross season as well as Anaheim 1.
Well, we got some stuff to take care of. Absolutely. And like right off the hop, let's start things off with segment number 1, first turn takeaways. Let's introduce the race itself. Anaheim 1 2023. They've been going to Anaheim for the first round of Supercross for a lot of years. It's been at least 20 years where Anaheim, this particular stadium, has housed the first round ever since, I think the last time there was anywhere else was back in, I think, 1997, if I'm not mistaken, Debo.
96, I know for sure. We opened up down in Orlando, Florida, with the Great Western Bank team I was on.
That's right.
Coliseum was 97, I think.
That's
so
right.
97 might have been back in Orlando. But back in 86, I was at the Anaheim opener for them with the RJ Bailey battle. So I think Anaheim's been a predominant starter kicker off of the series. And they think they visited Florida a couple times, decided that was a bad idea. Let's get it back to California and make shit happen.
Absolutely. Anaheim, California. It just feels right to start off the series there. We always get some absolutely wild results. In fact, I can think off the top of my head 3 different guys who have their one and only Supercross win, being Anaheim 1. That's Sebastian Tortelli, Greg Albertine, and also Josh Grant back in 2009. Expect the unexpected when it comes to Anaheim 1. And we had a very interesting off season. We had Roxon switching to Suzuki. We have Christian Craig, who has been basically a career 250 guy, coming back from multiple injuries, a ton of little mishaps throughout his career on a 250. Although he has spent some time on a 450, both indoors and out, is now switched over to an Austrian branded motorcycle for the first time during his professional career. You have Colt Nichols, who, for all intents and purposes, has been one of the most eye-catching and easy to look at riders on and off the track. The guy's an absolute man rocket. Just don't even start with me. And then you have Joey Savacci, who's just waiting in the weeds for he's going to pounce on somebody. I guarantee you, there are no guarantees, but this I can guarantee, that when the checkered flag flies at Anaheim 1, there's going to be some factory dudes behind the number 17 machine, and he's going to be grinning ear to ear no matter where he's at, because he's on a privateer Kawasaki built to perfection by Mitch Payton himself. Boys, this is going to be a race and a half.
Absolutely. I mean, we have Ken Roxon definitely stole the off season, and I mean, I look for him to kickstart off his season with probably his best race at Anaheim 1. He always starts the season strong, so I would expect to see that. I'm really probably the biggest question mark for me, I think, is Colt Nichols. I don't know what to expect from him. He could go out and be a 6th place guy, and I think that would be a really, really successful venture for him. And it wouldn't surprise me. He could definitely be outside the top 10, and it wouldn't surprise me. He hasn't raced in a long time. He did have a very good year at Star Racing Yamaha, and he has a ton of talent, but he honestly hasn't raced enough to have a ton of data on him, and especially on a 450. Although, like I said, I did see him ride a 450 at Loretta's really well, but I mean, that was ages ago on a Cowie. There's not a lot there. That's probably the one that's most intriguing to me, is to see where Colt Nichols shakes out.
And for me, it'd be Christian Craig. Checkers and I have been arguing about Christian Craig for a number of years now. I have him to top my top 5 list. I think he's going to run really well, but he's also on a new bike as well, going to the Husky, leaving the Yamaha. In the past, he's ridden a 450 Honda. He's raced the aluminum frame bikes. Now he's back on a steel frame Husky. I've heard a little bit of rumblings that maybe he isn't quite as comfortable on that bike as he was the Yamaha or the Honda in the past. The biggest thing about Craig, like Malcolm, was his whoop speed. The guy was probably the fastest through the whoops last year on a 250. The 450 is much different. It's a little heavier bike, more power. Put him on a different frame bike like the Husky. We know that Malcolm didn't quite perform as well through the whoops as he had in the past, even though he was faster everywhere else. It'll be interesting to see what Christian Craig brings to the table on that new Austrian Husky. So we'll see with that Rockstar bike. If it can get through the whoops as fast as Craig wants to go, I see Craig in the top 5, but he's a question mark as well.
Yeah, we're just about halfway through our first turn takeaways, brought to you by Race Tech. Checkers, last thing we sort of have to get to is Joey Savacci. He's had multiple stints over at Factory Kawasaki. He's shown speed. He's been adaptive. He's kind of rolled with the punches. He's made himself available to race World Supercross, you name it. He's been flexible. He's on a KTM at the beginning of last year, messes his knee up, comes back on the Kawasaki, has a great summer. And honestly, I really like the low pressure atmosphere for Joey Savacci. I think the only thing that I can think of that I might have him a little bit behind the 8 ball is the fact that he's racing out of Florida, which means when the gate drops for the first heat race of his first heat race, because the 250s go first, will be sometime around 8 p.m. Pacific time, which is damn near 11 o'clock where he's going to be coming from. So he might be a little bit jet lagged, but aside from that, I think people have to be worried about Joey Savacci.
Well, I don't think it's the jet lag's an issue. He's done this. He's been there, done that. He's been a West Coast guy in the 250 class before. He's done great on a 450. He's experienced and been part of really good programs. The real question mark is what is this program? Do I think he's got his motorcycle where he wants it? I do. I think he knows what he wants. He knows the Kawasaki. He's been on a great Kawasaki before with the factory bike. So he knows what a good bike should feel like. But the question is what does he have for a support staff? What's he pitting out of? Does he have a good mechanic? Does he have parts there if he breaks something? Does he have an experienced mechanic that is going to make sure the bike's prepared the way it needs to be between practice sessions and races and that side of things? If that part of his program is solid enough to where, and it can be low key, low pressure and relaxed, which actually can be a benefit, then I expect to see him doing very well. I 100% agree that he will be better than a lot of factory guys. And I will actually put him in front of the other guy that moved into the 450 class, Christian Craig, on Saturday night. Maybe not at Anaheim, but Saturday nights throughout the year, Joey Savacci will be in front of Christian Craig as often or more often than Craig is in front of him.
Hey, that's a bold prediction right there, especially after Craig going to a factory team at 450. Like common sense gives the edge to Craig based on the equipment, but you know what? Like, I think when they raced 250s, Joey got the better of Craig quite often. So I think it's going to be a good race. And you know who else is going to be, it is my prediction for someone who just always does well at Anaheim. He's won at Anaheim multiple times. Yes, he's going to be kickstarting his bike. Yes, he's going to be, he doesn't have a lot of time on the bike. He's only been riding it for about 2 weeks. But honestly, that's only 3 weeks longer than Ken Roxon's been riding that bike. And that's Shane McElrath. The 12 machine has had a very interesting entrance into the 450 class. He's basically been all over the map. He entered the 450 class for the very first time with TLD, KTM, and then he leaves those guys, goes over to Star Racing Yamaha on a 250, narrowly wins a title, but comes up short. Then he's with MCR. Then he's with the Rocky Mountain guys. Like, he literally last year, he was a globetrotter as far as teams go. He was on it. Like, I think he didn't wear the same team jersey twice. He was like an absolute suitcase. But he's on a Suzuki now, and he's making the best of it. Like, before we get on to the next segment, what are your guys' thoughts on Shane McElrath and what he could possibly do as a total dark horse, just throwing darts at the board for the first round at a track with, like, it's obviously it's a different layout than always, but the guys just got to have good vibes rolling into that stadium.
I don't know. I see Shane McElrath. I expect kind of a lot more out of him that first year he jumped on a 450. He obviously had some back issues and ended up pulling out a series, I think after maybe Daytona or possibly Atlanta. I don't know. I see Shane, not much time on the bike. I see him probably qualifying out of the semi in about 3rd or 4th. And I see him probably running about 13th to 15th in the main event, which is a good way to start the season. It's not terrible. There's a class is stacked. There's 15 at least factory riders. Shane can get to the weekend healthy, have no accidents, no crashes, no incidents in practice, learn some stuff, get a good start, and maybe the heat race, see what's kind of the pace that these other guys are running, and qualify through the semi, avoid that last chance qualifier, which we know everything can and anything can happen, and put in a good 20 minutes plus 1 lap in that main event and run top 15. I think that would be a successful night for Shane.
I think that's fair enough. And I'm excited to see it. This is going to be a great race, and we're happy to look forward to it. Rolling on with segment number 2, we have the Moto X Dream 360 Dash for Cash. Of course, Denny Stephenson, well known for taking home a lot of loot at those arena cross races over the many years. And this is a bit of a matchup. We're going to be kind of like going over some discussion topics and sort of giving our points on certain things. First and foremost, like possible, like kind of an example of this would be like, who is going to finish best in 2023 Supercross points? And then you sort of make the case, but whether it's going to be Malcolm Stewart or if it's going to be Justin Barcia. We're going to have to do some coordinating, and obviously this being episode 1, there might be a couple fumbles on the play, but we'll try and act like we know what we're doing. And we're going to start things off with Debo, or right off the crack here. Which of these riders will win their first 450 Supercross race? Malcolm Stewart, Aaron Plessinger, Christian Craig, or Adam Cianciarulo?
Well, I think that's a question I actually offered earlier this year on Twitter, and I have to agree with the masses. I believe Malcolm Stewart was the closest. He had some outstanding rides in 2022, put himself on the podium there. I think the last 2 or 3 times to wrap up the season. He's on the cusp of greatness. He's been working really hard in the off season. We've heard it from James that his little brother is looking to get to that next level. And I think that it's pretty certain that he's a fan favorite, and everybody's looking for Malcolm to get that first 450 win of his career. And I think it's going to happen here in 2023. I could see it happening possibly in the first month. Lay it down quick. He's got his second year on the Husky. I think he's more accustomed to it. He's a big, strong kid. He can muscle that bike to the whoops. I think we'll see Malcolm with a win within the first 4 or 5 rounds, I'm going to guess.
Checkers, is Debo like on the level? Is he knows what he's talking about, or are you about to just blow him out of the water?
Well, I think I convinced him during our 450 preview show.
I think so too.
He was not nearly as passionate, and for once, I think I got through that thick skull of his that Malcolm Stewart's the man, and he's going to win his first race. I was very, very upfront. That was probably the boldest prediction that I made. But I'm going to take a second and make a small case for each of the other guys in a scenario that maybe they could get it done. Anaheim 1 is always a super, super weird race. We all know Adam Cianciarulo can go very fast and is a great starter. Say he whole shots Anaheim 1, checks out early in the race, and just chaos is ensuing behind him like Anaheim 1 has happened. I could see that happening. Christian Craig is extremely fast and talented and a great starter. Big whoops on a racetrack. Again, same situation as AC as he whole shots, a little bit of chaos behind him, or perhaps a triple crown round where he nails the starts all 3 times and the whoops are big. I could see Craig finding a way to get it done. And I think the only way Aaron Plessinger gets it done is if it's a speedway track, or if the skies open up and it's a full-on mudder. Watch out for the number 7 KTM, because that dude can rip in the mud and he could potentially pull one off that way. That's how I see those guys getting one done.
So you're still your odds-on favorite is Malcolm, but those are the other 3 ways those guys are getting it. Honestly, not just to be different, I honestly think that Adam Cianciarulo gets his very first win inside the first 3 races of this series. I don't think he's coming in with a ton of momentum, but confidence is a funny thing. And Adam has always been good at the beginning of series. If he's able to get one of those good starts like you just talked about, lead some laps, and maybe even be on the podium the first round, that's not outside of the realm of possibilities. I could totally see Adam using that to move forward, keep rolling, and get himself a win inside those first few rounds. If he doesn't, I think the longer it takes him to get that first win, I think it becomes less likely that he gets it this year. I would say in close second as far as my prediction on who's going to get their first win, it's got to be Malcolm Stewart. The guy's been champing at the bit, nipping at the heels of all those guys who currently have a win under their belt. I think this year there's going to be 5 different guys who get Supercross wins in 2000 and we had 5 guys last year. We're going to have 5 guys this year. We're going to have 2 guys bumped out and 2 new guys in. Malcolm Stewart's one of them, and so is AC.
Wow. Yeah, both of us. Wow. Well, I know from just from the early press conference this year, when Weeds talked to AC said he still had some nerve issues with his hand and a little numbness. If that's still the case, he's going to struggle. He's going to have a hard time holding on. It's probably going to go downhill quickly. Hopefully that's an issue that he's rectified and he can be ready for A1. But as you agreed and also said, the longer it takes to get that win, these riders, each and every one of them, as I know as well, we become complacent. We kind of get used to where we're at in the pack and we kind of settle in. But if something can happen early, as you said, with Adam, with any of these riders, a surprise podium, a get out front, as Checkers said, that's how Josh Grant got his first win. He got out front, led the thing early. Both Reed and Stewart went down that section of whoops, and next thing you know, Josh has got a damn near 10-second lead and pulls off the victory. So as we've seen many, many times, and as we've all agreed upon, A1, we love to look forward to it and say that's going to set the stage. But end of the day, anything usually happens in A1, and we move on to round 2 and go, okay, this is actually the opening round, so we'll see what happens. But looking for a lot of action. And if you say AC, I don't know. I'm still sticking with James, with Malcolm Stewart.
I'd go with James too, honestly. If there was a fifth we could add and it was James Stewart as like a brand new career, like you starting from scratch, I would say it's James. Side note for anybody who's watching or listening to this, once you're done with this, not at the very same time, but once you're done, go watch 2009 Anaheim 1, because the final laps where Josh Grant has a Toyota banner up in his rear wheel. It's on the back brake. His bike is like stalling midair. He almost goes over the bars on the last lap. I just ruined it for you. Go watch it. It's absolutely ridiculous. I remember watching it. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time.
I was his agent. I was his manager that year. I helped
really.
Yeah. I introduced him.
JG is such a good dude.
Yeah, he's incredible. I've never seen one ride a motorcycle like Josh did, and and kind of helped facilitate the ride with JGR and everything. Oh yeah, I was up in the knothole watching that race, and once I saw he was gonna, about halfway was winning this son of a bitch, I ran blitzed down onto the floor.
I could just see
onto
you
the floor, almost onto the track, and like waving him on before they threw me off the track. And was there at the podium when he pulled off with tears in his eyes. Obviously, the last lap with the tough lock in his rear wheel, I'm literally shitting bricks. I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And obviously, for me, not racing, but that was probably one of the coolest experiences I'd ever been able to share a part of with Josh. And incredible human being, and just a fantastic night. So further proof that magic can happen at Anaheim Stadium.
Absolutely. No, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. So let's move on to our second topic here. Checkers, you're going to take the lead this thing off for us. But guys, there are 7 championships. Some are deeper than others, like the 250 Eats, for example. But there are 7 championships up for grabs in 2023. The East-West 250, of course, like we said, East is deeper. You have the 450 class in Supercross, 250 motocross, 450 motocross, and then you also have the SMX championship in both the 250s and the 450s. How you're going to qualify into that is if you're top 20 in points in either of those series, you're going to be basically fast-tracked into the final 3 rounds, which is a playoff format. But the beauty of this is there are a ton of championships to be won, and there is the potential for the Lawrence brothers to potentially win 6 of them. They could win 6 of those championships. They've certainly done pretty well in the past and leading a lot of laps. Checkers, how many of these championships do these kids knock down? It is not crazy to say that they could that the Lawrence brothers could basically run the table.
Well, I mean, it is a little crazy to say that, but I think we could see a world where that could happen. So I'm just going to count them down with a likelihood of them happening, each of them, and we'll see what number that we land on. Okay. I think Jed is the favorite for his title on 450 West.
250
I would
West.
say Hunter's the favorite for his title on 250 East. Sorry for that. Arguably, some of us would put somebody else in front. 250 motocross, pretty tough. I think that's maybe Hunter's stronger for the 250 motocross title than he is for Supercross. So I think that one, I can see it, but I don't put Jed as the favorite for 450 motocross. That's a long, grueling title.
It's a long year.
For a rookie to come in and pull that off against, I mean, we just saw what Chase Sexton did last summer against Eli flipping Tomac, having the year of his life. So to not say that Chase is the favorite going into that, so it's pretty nuts. So let's see, we have 2 Supercross titles and an outdoor title. We're at 3 going to the SMX Cup. It's 3 races. Anything can happen. I would say 50-50 on Hunter getting the 251 done. Part of me thinks that if a Austin Forkner or Cameron McAdoo or Seth Hammaker or one of those guys on the green bikes have a great Supercross season, or maybe a guy like Nate Thrasher, who's awesome on speedway tracks, I think he could be really, really good on those SMX hybrid tracks. So I'm still I'll give Hunter that title. So that's 4. And I don't think Jet's going to be quite ready yet to jump on the 450. It is only 3 races though. And
only 3 rounds.
It's only 3 rounds. And Sexton,
he did win the Motocross the Nations Open class on like 3 weeks on that bike.
Right. And so maybe Tomac decides he wants to come race. I don't think so. I think he's done after Supercross. Sexton and Anderson and anyone else in the 450 class will have done 17 Supercrosses and 11 nationals and then have to do 3 more races, they're going to be a little bit more worn down, where Jet's got that youthful energy, plus is only doing half the Supercrosses. I'm going to go with over 4, and I think they get 5. I think they get 5 somehow. Somewhere between 4 and 5 for sure.
Wow. That's pretty incredible. Like the 250 West, I think honestly it's championship or bust for Jet. It's Jet and then it's everybody else. He does have some quick running mates. I think the 2 guys on the Kawasaki's post the stiffest competition in Austin Faulkner and Cameron McAdoo, but both those guys have been proponent to hit the ground a whole lot more than Jet has in the past. And I honestly think Jet is a heavy favorite for that championship. On the East Coast, the deep coast, honestly, I like you said, I like Hunter's chances of winning 250 super or outdoors a lot more than I like him winning 250 East. If you roll back to our 250 preview show, I predicted Seth Hammaker wins that championship, and I will be proven right in about 19 weeks time. 250 outdoors, I think it's going to be Hunter. I think he's strong, he's consistent, he knows these tracks. It's going to be his 4th summer racing these tracks, so I give him a huge thumbs up on that. I think he wins that championship going away. 450 outdoors, I think you got to go with Chase Sexton. Like, as we sit here the first week in January, Chase Sexton is definitely my favorite for that championship. He's been fast, he's been consistent. And then when it comes to the SMX thing, like you said, Checkers, it is an absolute roll of the dice. It's three races, basically reset the points, see what happens. So on the 250 side of things, it's probably going to be Hunter or it's going to be one of the guys in the Kawasaki's. Like maybe by that time, one of the Yamaha guys, Star Racing Yamahas, has really established themselves. Or maybe we're talking about how much of a crazy turnaround Max Voland has made from his career. But I haven't seen that yet, so I still have to give Hunter the nod on that one. And then 450 SMX. I think by then Chase Sexton owns this sport, and he rides that thing home. So yeah, Chase Sexton. Give me Chase Sexton on 450 outdoors and the SMX championship. I still think Eli Tomac takes the championship in Supercross this year. So roundabout way of saying the Lawrences probably getting at least 3 championships this summer, if not 4. What do you think, Debo?
Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. I believe that a minimum of 3 between the 2 of them and a maximum of 5. So it's going to be interesting. When Checkers first brought it to my attention on a text thread, I kind of stopped for a minute and usually want to just tell him he's full of shit, but because that's just a standard reaction I have for anything Checkers says. But I actually took a minute and thought about it. I'm like, wow, that's a pretty crazy thought. And the more I thought about it, 6 is pretty outlandish, and that's a perfect season. But for one thing that's really key with these 2 riders is they've had healthy seasons from the beginning to the end. Very few guys have been as consistent as these 2 riders have been in their championships. They do barely finish off the box ever, whether it's Supercross or the outdoors. I see that type of consistency for Jet on the 450 as well. He was brilliant at the Nations. So again, I'm going to stick with minimum 3, a maximum of 5. I don't think they'll get all 6. That'll be that would be unbelievable. The Aussies will be losing their minds and slowly taking over the United States. But I'm going to stick, like I said, 3 minimum, 5 maximum. It's going to be a banner year for Lawrence Brothers, and probably something we have never seen. Obviously, nothing we've ever seen in the past.
Well, there's going to be definitely a few shoeys being consumed between now and the end of the season. Probably more from Hunter, less from Jet, given the fact that he's not old enough to drink. You could in Canada, though. I don't think he's going to do any Canadian nationals, though. Heck, I wouldn't do any Canadian nationals, and I could qualify for them because they don't turn anyone away. But last one on the docket for the sort of us having a little bit of a this Dash for Cash, this Moto X Dream 360 Dash for Cash is which team is going to have the most amount of points at the end of the year? Monster Kawasaki, Monster Pro Circuit Kawasaki, or Star Racing Yamaha? Actually, both a Yamaha or a Monster-backed team. And so which of the claws do I like better? I think you got to give the nod to Kawasaki. Like they're coming out with three guys who are like championship contenders. They got Seth Hammaker, who's in his third year in Supercross. If he can stay healthy, he's got crazy speed, and I think he can lead a lot of laps on the East Coast. And then you got a two-headed monster over on the West Coast with Cameron McAdoo and Faulkner. So honestly, like the lowest guy on the totem pole is, I'm drawing a blank on their last guy. Shimoda. Jesus Christ, Shimoda. All four of those guys are solid. Every single one of those guys is solid. The fact that like in my own head, like Shimoda might be the third or fourth guy on that team. Like Supercross, he's not like a no world beater, but like I think Pro Circuit Kawasaki has maybe the strongest lineup that they've come to the races with in 3 or 4 years, compared to Star, who basically their entire team is made up of unproven guys. You've got Nate Thrasher, who has 2 speedway wins and 1 like shootout win, which shootouts always seem to produce a lot of weird winners, weird first time winners for certain. If you just look back at the results, if it wasn't like a top guy winning, it was usually somebody who was kind of like kind of out of nowhere. So I give the nod to Kawasaki, although it's hard to bet against those Star Racing Yamahas. They have been very strong over the last few years. What do you think, Debo?
Well, I think we can all agree that with the Pro Circuit Cowie riders, where there's a will, there's a way to find themselves somehow getting injured, some freak crash, some freak incident, something happened at press day, something happening on the test track. I hope that's not the case this year. Knowing and working with Mitch as many years as I have in the past, the man, I don't know anyone that works harder than he does in the entire team. And I know that's a big stretch because everybody works really hard. But I know that Mitch wants to make this happen. He's been very patient with Austin Faulkner, obviously much longer than some of us would probably normally would have been. He's given Cameron McAdoo a shot. Joe was a fill-in rider last minute that came in. It's done wonderful. Hammaker, they've just given him a 2-year deal. They've got a great team. So I'd give them the shoe in definitely over Star. It's a shame that these Lawrence brothers could possibly mess up their whole season. But I think this has got to be, if there's a year for Pro Circuit to Monster Kawasaki to do something, 2023 is the year for them to get some championships and to make some shit happen. And for some riders on that team to finally show their worth and the fact that they've been kept on the team for so long.
And Checkers, you get the floor for the last kick at the can at this thing.
Well, I mean, I would like to tell you that I don't agree that Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki is going to get it, because I want to play the other side. But I think that on paper, that is a really, really strong lineup. The one way that Star Racing Yamaha can get more points is if they let their guys actually race, instead of leaving Ferris and Deegan at home not racing. Bring them to the track and just did it with sheer numbers.
Yeah.
Hopefully Robertson has a breakout.
It's like Civil War style, just outnumber them.
I mean, they have a roster of like 9 guys getting ready for nationals. So heck, bring Dax Bennick up too. We need him. We need all the points that we can get to go after this.
Bring back Matt LeBlanc. I think he's roofing.
Seriously. I think that's the only way, because one by one, their riders just, they don't stack up. I mean, for either Robertson or Thrasher to have a breakout year, or maybe Jordan Smith to finally get her done in his 18th season in the class, and score a lot of points, maybe, but I don't see as a whole all of them being able to score enough points to come close to the effort that the Pro Circuit Kawasaki team has. This is definitely rebuilding time if you're over there in the Star Racing camp, and maybe waiting for the future to come on up with Danger Boy Deegan, who, gosh, I would love to see him on the East Coast opener.
I want to see him bad. Let's see him race. Like,
couple weeks.
I'm making shirts tonight before I go to bed. Let Deegan race 250 East. T-shirts will be available.
Let Danger race.
Let Danger Boy race. Yeah, absolutely. No, I can't let another day slip by before I make those shirts. I will make millions, or at least $8, which is how much I make off each sale. But anyway, I know we're doing a fantasy draft. Are we throwing that? When are we throwing that in, Checkers? I'm looking at
Let's
the
get her done.
itinerary that you sent over to me, and I don't see that on my itinerary. So I think we could just shoehorn that in wherever the fuck we want.
How about right now?
Right, meow. Okay.
I have the draft board on the screen.
Okay, you are in control of the screen, so please don't. Yeah. All right. Cool. I like it.
And I guess draft order. Oh, it's right here, and I guess I'm first pick too. So,
it's a
Debo, do you want to lay out the rules of what we're picking?
Well, it's basically a 3-man, 3-team draft. Checkers and I, we've done this before in our OG text thread group. There's was 11 of us. We did it, and then I put together another text, or another group of Facebook friends, and I threw Brad in the list. That was 10 of us that did it. We kind of changed it up for this one, because there's only 3 of us doing it this time. Each of us will draft 4 450 riders. Each of us will draft 2 or 3 250 West riders, and the 3 of us will each draft 3 250 East riders. We can draft them in any order we want. We'll start with a snake draft. Checkers will go first. I'll go second. Brad will go third. For round 2, Brad will go first. I'll go second. Checkers will go third. And we'll do that for 10 rounds. And so, Checkers, you'll be leading off this first round. You can take anybody off the board possibly you want. Who will you be taking at draft number 1?
And the first pick of the 2023 BigMx Radio Supercross draft is going to be Gimme El Hombre, Jason Anderson.
That's a very nice pick there. I like it a lot. I'm going to be following that up with a Mr. Eli Tomac will be taking the number 2 spot on the Team Debo team.
I'm going to win.
You ain't winning shit.
All right. So with the third pick in the 2023 fantasy draft for BigMx Radio, Race Tech, and Moto X Dream 360, I'm going to go with Chase Sexton.
Shocker. And you'll be going twice. You'll be taking the next pick as well.
That's right. With the fourth pick, I will be taking Jet Lawrence.
The Jet Lawrence man is going in the 4th spot. First pick in the second round. I will be taking with the 5th overall pick. I will be taking his brother Hunter Lawrence.
Hunter, Lawrence.
I was kind of hoping I'd get all 3 of those guys, but I knew my chances were slim.
Slim to none.
All right, hang on. I'm just making sure that I stay up to date with the
all
notes.
Good.
Brad
you type faster than I do. That's
Debo
good.
has Hunter, and Brad has Jet. And with my second pick, I'm going to go with another 450 rider. I got the Mookie Fever, baby. He's going to win a race this year and help me win this championship. Malcolm Stewart is going to line up alongside Jason Anderson. Hopefully they don't take each other out every single dang week.
That'd be
your team might be like that might be a little bit of a civil war / like friendly fire.
Ooh, and I get to go again. Oh man. Okay.
I'm gonna have 3 champions on my team. This is gonna be sick.
Because these 250 kids are an absolute nightmare. I'm probably gonna pick somebody that's not going to even make it to the second race. Really have high hopes for Thrasher. I got to go with a future 450 star of Austin Forkner. It wouldn't be right if I didn't take him.
Good
Forkner
pick.
is going to lead because he's on a much weaker West Coast.
Don't start with me, buddy.
We've already started that. Like I feel like you've been needled like
Well, it's not true.
time
I mean,
so far.
if I actually was like concerned about it, then it would take it more personal. But since you're both complete morons, I'm not even taking it to heart.
Denny, like when the coasts come together, do you think that any of the 250 West guys will even be in the top 10?
They might not even qualify. I think they should just run instead of having an East qualifier and a West qualifier. They should just go like they do normally. Just go times, man.
Yeah.
And that way you could literally have 15 West guys and like 5 East guys, in the main event. So that sounds as fair as me.
Yeah. Or I think maybe like they should just make the East guys start backwards, dead engine with their bike in neutral, just to make it fair.
Yeah, that's just turn around backwards. With Checker and I are still firm believers that they need to narrow the start, run 11 gates, and run double starts, double rows. That's Checkers.
Just like Arena Cross.
Well, yeah,
So
think
that way
how
you
much
make,
floor that they
you
save.
make the heat races that much more important, right, Checker?
Yep.
Tell them our story.
Okay,
our
I
plan.
can give you
Okay.
all the bullet points of this. You take up
Perfect.
way less floor space so you can get another lane, longer lap
Yeah.
times, less track wear. It can make the start safer because they're narrower. You're not funneling 20 guys in, you're only funneling 11, or not 22, you're funneling 11. They can be shorter because you don't have to funnel so wide. So they can even add more floor space. It makes heat races more important because now you want to be in those top 11. So you're at least on the front row of the start, so that you need to be top 5 in the or top 6 in the faster heat. So top 5 in your heat to guarantee a front row. Less first turn pops. Plus, that means that you have a better chance of getting Eli Tomac, Chase Sexton, Malcolm Stewart, etc. off the starting gate, at least in the top 11, if not, in the top 5 or 6, because they have an advantage on the start. And that means all your fast guys are going to be able to start battling from the moment the gate drops, versus Dylan Ferrandis starting in 22nd and having to come all the way up to 11th by the end of the race.
I like everything about that, actually. Like, that is, if you want to like protect your investment, if you're Feld Entertainment, as far as like making sure that your best stars are up front, I think that would be an absolutely fantastic way to make sure that's continuing to happen.
You're also sorted out more into the first lane of the track, even like you're creating a little bit more separation, which is good in that sense of safety. So
safer.
Sorry about my mini rant. Debo, who do you got?
That's fine. Debo, you're up.
I'm taking Cameron McAdoo with the 8th pick and the number 2 pick in the 3rd round. I'm going to take my first West rider in Cameron McAdoo.
All right, West, Debo.
So that's
all right. So I get 2 picks in a row. So with that, I'm going to go with Christian Craig. And then I'm going to go with I was going to go all like kind of like 450 to like kind of back and forth with the 250s. But now I'm going to take Seth Hamaker, which means I have my prediction for the 450 champion, the 250 West champion, and the 250 East champion all on my team. You guys should be worried.
That's funny. I almost took him in that last round just to piss you off.
Perfect.
He was
I appreciate your pettiness.
I was going to definitely take him just to go, ha ha, nanny boo boo.
That's awesome.
So that puts me back up again.
Yes, sir.
Man, this definitely goes much quicker. I'm not used to this. I have the 11th pick, 2nd pick in the 4th round. I'm looking at.
Why is AJ Catanzaro available?
He's racing.
He's know.
Been training with the Lawrences and racing.
Yeah, someone told me today that he's been training and racing with the Lawrence brothers, and he should be kept an eye out for him. And I have nothing wrong with AJ, but
who said that?
He doesn't.
I love AJ.
Somebody on Facebook had mentioned it, and
he's actually right.
AJ's great, but for him to become a top 10 rider, he'd first have to qualify. So,
there was a night show he didn't make last year, so
Was he riding 125 at some events though? Was he riding a two-stroke?
250F all last year.
He rode at 125 at one race with Stank at a showdown.
That's right.
But he has been riding, and I know for sure,
the
years of him racing 450 Supercross, if he had more than 3 hours on a bike before the first race, that was a lot of training for him, and he made 450 mains at like round 2 before.
That's true. He did make it with San Diego. He made it.
And is extremely fun to watch ride. And if he's putting in a little bit of work, do I think he's top 10 guy? No, but I do think he's a main event guy every week in a 250 class if he's trying.
For sure. And one thing that he also does have, and I'm sort of talking myself into him, is that he literally makes a living teaching people how to race a motorcycle, which if you're having to continuously like work on your craft and like understand how to go faster, I think that's just a recipe for being good on your own motorcycle. It doesn't always translate, but sometimes it does.
Well, his most memorable experience for me for last year was when he was interviewed on the track during practice, and he gave a perfect assessment of what was going on in the rhythm sections and something like that. He was fantastic during race day live, and at that moment I'm like, man, he should be up in the booth and not on the track, because he did a great job explaining it. So he definitely has a future in talking. Obviously, he does a lot of videos with his whatnot. So
yeah.
Anyways, moving on from AJ Catanzaro and his possible 2023 season, I'm going to take Justin Barsha. We're moving back to the 450 class with the 11th pick. which leaves it up to now Checkers and his back-to-back picks.
All right, updating the spreadsheet, and then
At
okay.
this point, we each have two. We both have two. We each have two 450 riders at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been waiting on the 250 East because it's so deep. So there's so many good choices over there. So sticking with that theme, I'm going to continue to wait on the 250 East, and I'm going to go with two 250 West picks for back to back, I believe.
I can guess one of them.
Oh yeah, I know exactly where he's going.
Yeah.
The one that you missed the other day, Mitchell Oldenburg, because that is one of them.
You're taking
Oldenburg's solid.
You're taking Oldenburg right now?
Taking Oldenburg right now.
He was gonna be there. He was gonna be there in a
Wow.
while from now, I think.
Yeah,
we got to remember.
You could have got him. You could have got him in round 6.
That's kind of like drafting a kicker in the second round.
You guys underestimate how good
of a 2 quarterback league.
And for my other one, he's gonna push the front end like a broom every single time, but he's gonna be on my team doing it. My last 250 West pick in the much weaker coast, the last good pick over there, RJ Hampshire.
I didn't take it. I didn't take at all who I thought you were going to take.
I knew
curious who that is. So when you take him, you can tell me who that is.
That's funny. I
think you thought you were going to take Styles.
I did think you're going to take Styles.
That would have been my next pick. And I mean, honestly, him and RJ are, I would like to say they're a toss-up, but really, I mean, RJ's won races. So
Oldenburg was a surprise. I did not expect it. I expected to take the broom pusher and Styles, whatever the hell. All right, it's on to me now.
Push pretty good.
He does. He pushes that broom like a shopkeeper. I'm going to jump over to the East because there's only a few riders to take over there before you run out. I'm going to take that Michael Mosiman kid. I'm going to make sure and watch Transformers before every East race, so I know what he's thinking while he's racing. And so with the 14th pick, I will take Mr. Michael Mosiman.
With more 250 West guys being taken to this point, does that mean that the West has more talent on it? I don't
know. Because see, I figure I can maximize points on the West because it's not as deep. So I know that it's guaranteed my guys are going to be in the top 5.
Fair enough.
There's only 5
good
guys.
The East is deep like a puddle.
Deep like a puddle. Well, the ocean's a pretty deep puddle. Okay, let me go with I got 2 picks in a row here. Let's go Joe Shimoda. And we're gonna need more 450 guys. Give me the 2023 450 Rookie of the Year, Colt Nichols.
Colt 45.
Colt 45. He just looks good riding a motorcycle. And walking.
I'm excited to see him on a 450. I haven't really watched much video of anything, so get a good start, run that pace, see how the pace.
If he stays healthy, I think he can really make something happen. I really do.
Well, that's a big statement, and I don't mean that derogatory, but obviously he's
fine.
He's had a lot of injuries over his career, and
he's been hurt every year except for the year he got the title.
Yeah,
he was even bold enough to be a complete Band-Aid and pick number 13.
He's a fighter.
Like,
yeah, he did.
That has balls.
13. It seems like a lot of the guys who are coming off the injuries decide to stay bucket and take 13. Blake Wharton took 13. Factory Phil took 13 and said, when he was at Great Western with us, had a great season. 13. RJ took 13 coming off his broken wrist.
Tortelli.
Tortelli, I forgot Tortelli was 13. Swink was 13.
Jesse Nelson was 13
when he got hurt.
Yeah, that was
super
crazy. It's I was born on the 13th, August 13th. So Friday the 13th is one of my favorite days, but I don't think I'd ever take the number. And another kind of going a little crazy is when Mike LaRocca was number 6, he was getting hurt quite a bit. So midway through the season, they threw a number 6 under his front fender in belief to get away from the 666 number.
Really? I asked
Yeah.
Steve Lamson about that, why no one's taken 6 since he gave it up. And he told me it's because, like the 666 thing, I never even thought about that.
Yeah, when Larocco was getting banged up with his wrist that year at Suzuki, and his dad was a mechanic at the time, and we were riding Suzuki at the time, and they threw a number 6 onto the front fender so they could add 4 6s. Yeah, that's
awesome.
Talk about some serious superstition, I'll tell you.
All right, Debo, you're up, buddy.
I'm gonna take since we're running out of talent in the East class right now. Clearly, I'm going to take my last.
There's race winners still there.
I'm going to take Thrasher, who I got in that last draft we did the other night. Brad, I think I took Thrasher like the 36th spot. I couldn't believe no one wanted him.
I was, when you picked him, I was like, for fuck's sake.
They were taking crazy riders like way down the list, and I'm like, maybe I kept looking at the list. I'm like, did I forget?
Someone's like taking Hardy Munoz. I'm like, what?
Like, did I forget to mark him off the list? I'm like, no, he's available. So I had to ask. I'm like, is Thrasher still available? They're like, oh yeah, he sucks. Oh, okay, then I'll take him, please.
Yeah.
Did I just put Thrasher on your East? I did. Sorry.
Yeah, Thrasher's on mine, bro. My East Coast is full. I got the 3 best East guys. And you guys got all, since it's so deep, you guys can get in there with Viale and Martin and Jordan Smith. You can take those guys. I'm loaded.
Okay. I get 2 picks in a row. Well, I could go with some inconsistent 250 kids.
Styles is still there for you.
My West is full.
Oh, look at you.
Right?
That's right. You are. You got 2,
my West is full.
Riders and 3 East riders remaining.
Yeah. Let's see. Where are you guys sitting with East? You guys each have only 1 left. So,
who's the other West guy I have?
There's a ton of West guys left. I've already got all the best East. So, good luck, Jet.
I only have 1 West guy.
No, you have Jet. Yep.
Well, he counts as 2 because he's going to get like twice as many points as everyone else.
He's gonna take first and second every race.
They probably should.
Just ask the Aussies.
He gets a provisional into the main event. Like, even if he like wads himself in the heat race, he's just in.
Right.
I really hate to do it, but it makes me sick to say it.
He's going to go with Varese. I
got to go Jordan Smith.
I took him in our first draft. So I'm hoping he does well. I'm gonna have so many drafts going. It's like playing when you play fantasy football in 5 leagues, and you're usually playing against most of the guys you have on your other teams.
Yeah, no, I've definitely beat myself in fantasy like 9 times. Is great.
Right. You're like, oh man, I need to do really well this team. Oh god, that same team, I'll beat him with someone else in another league.
Yeah. Oh, or you have like
sick to my stomach that I am right now that I just did that.
Yeah. Well, that's because I basically left you guys nothing left on the East. The East isn't that deep. You're gonna have to admit it right now.
And next up, I'm gonna take Marvin Muskan.
Marvelous Marvin.
I was gonna take him next. So good thing you snagged him. Marvin, he's just like
I should have taken Marvin over Nichols. That was silly.
Yeah, that was silly.
That was silly.
I wasn't gonna say nothing. I was gonna try and snag him up here in my next round.
Well, now that I took your pick, Danny, who do you got?
I got to get you loaded up here. Hold on a second. You got Jordan Smith and you got Marv.
He's going to take Hunter Schlosser.
With the 20th pick, the second pick in the 7th round, moving right along here. Okay, my team is already dominating. Let's see. Oh, we got March Spank. Well, I don't have to worry about East. So in the West, I got Pierce Brown available, Stylus Robertson, Levi Kitchen, Max Ansey, Max Bowen, Enzo Lopes, Robbie Wageman. Look at how deep the West class is. And you guys, all you have left is March Spank, Swole, J Mart, Viale, Romano. I can't believe you guys right now for a fact that the West is deeper. It's deep, it's bottomless almost.
Look at the bottom of our list. Jared Steinke and AJ Cantanzaro. You telling me that Harriman and Schlosser beat them?
Yeah.
You gotta go to the bottom if you want to talk about
I'm quaking
depth.
in my boots with Chad Saltz.
Look out, everybody. All right.
I mean,
It's funny. The two 450 guys are two guys I already have in other teams. My options are Ken and Cooper. So and I've been bashing on Ken on that 2018 Suzuki quite a bit now, but I did draft him in my other draft. But I think I'm going to have to go regardless with the number 94 Suzuki. Actually, I'm going with the number 2 of Cooper Webb. See that switch right there, gentlemen?
oh,
Going with the two-time Supercross champion, who I think who will survive. Well, this draft is only for the first 8 rounds, and then we will redraft after round 8. So it's almost Ken is actually a good pick in the first 8 rounds, but I'm going to go with that.
That's why I'm taking him with the next pick.
Oh, well, you do think he's going to win races still, so.
Wow.
Is that official, Brad? Are you going Ken Roxon?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ken Roxon with the last pick in round 7, first pick in round 8. We need a 250 West guy. Give me give me Styles.
250 West Rider Styles Robertson.
Styling and profiling.
That's a good pick this late in the draft, I feel.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I just definitely put you as Pierce Brown instead of Styles. Hang on.
Pierce Brown may go undrafted. If I'm picking.
Well, I have 2 West remaining, and you have 1 West, so there's three spots left to be taken from the 250 West. Quite possible.
All right, Dennis.
I'm up next.
Denny has 450 rider available, a West rider and an East rider. Very balanced team for
He's
Denny
a very balanced team.
No, my East is done.
What did I miss then?
I got H-Law, Mosiman, and Thrasher.
Because I put Thrasher on the West.
Yep, no, he's East. So I'm done with that. I'm moving on to either 450 or the West right now. In the 450, I had Ferrandis, Cianciarulo, Plessinger, Wilson, Savacci. It's a tough one here. I am going to take I think I'm gonna have to take old Pierce Brown, I think. Or hold on.
He's gonna slide to me.
I'm gonna take damn it. I'm gonna take Pierce Brown. I'm taking him.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
That leaves, I'm gonna take his ass. Pierce Brown with the 23rd pick.
250 West rider Pierce Brown has now joined Team Debo.
I wonder how he feels about that.
I don't know, but I'm going to give Debo a little lesson in draft strategy, as I was out of 250 West riders, and he will get 250 West back again untouched, and he could have chosen a 450 rider instead. But now I have a chance to steal one from him as one of my picks. So do I want Ferrandis, AC, Plessinger, Wilson, Savacci, Chiz, Hill, Bloss, McElrath? Because Brad has 250 East left, so
yep.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Gosh,
I have one of each.
I'm torn between 3 guys who all have quite the large downfall. But I have to pray that Dylan Ferrandis somehow figured out his starts, and he's going to join my team. Oh, between Jordan Smith and Dylan Ferrandis, I'm going to have
I was going to say, how's your blood pressure over there?
Long nights, but I really do like my 450 lineup as a whole. I think it's pretty strong.
All 4 of my guys are in the top 10.
And the 450 guys race every week, so that means good. So now I'm left with 2 250 East riders. One of them right now is going to get picked. I wish Kyle Peters was racing all the rounds, because I would be in on that.
Yeah, he'd be like he'd be top 5 every round he races. He will be top 5 when he races.
All right. Well, if we're going with hashtag deep field and former race winners, I got to go Jeremy Martin too to go along with Jordan Smith, right?
Oh my goodness gracious.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's 2017.
This is crazy.
I just put Jay Smith, but it's really Jay Martin. They're basically the same person.
That's incredible.
I hate my team right now. The 450 is fine. I'm good with them.
You got a lot of J's going on with your names.
Yeah. We're back at myself here. I need a 450 and a 250 East Rider with the 26th pick.
Hopefully I snagged Dylan Ferrandis from you. Hopefully that would have been your pick.
No, you know what? I wanted to leave him there because I didn't want to have to take him. And I might have taken him. And I feel like Dean Wilson is going to be my guy. I think he's going to be running top 10. It can run anywhere from 7th to 12th all season long. I heard he looks great on the Honda. I just got word of that recently. I just posted his new Fly Rockstar helmet. It looks pretty kick-ass. I saw a picture of his son holding a Rockstar can. So he's starting the sun early on some high energy drinks, some taurine. And so I am all in with the Dean Wilson in my fourth and final 450 spots.
Never mind, it's 2014.
I heard today from one of his best friends on the Moto 60 show that he was not worried about Dean being a letdown, but his team letting him down. And it made me wonder, I was like, Roxon just about went there. That would have been disastrous if the team was letting him down.
Paul said that?
Yeah, Paul said it on the Moto 60 show. It sounds like just having
Kinda
parts
mean.
and bikes there, or maybe bikes.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm not sure exactly what part of it was letting him down, but I was like, oh, okay.
Well, I remember we saw that one. I think you posted on our text thread or something. Dean had posted something saying that he was having some issues or questionable or something. He kind of made a little derogatory statement. At least we took it derogatory as how things were going during testing. But I had heard yesterday that he was pretty happy with the bike and everything. So,
well, I heard how great that bike was, supposedly.
Yeah.
Podium speeches, best Honda out there, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
2 picks for Brad.
You are up with the 27th and 28th pick, wrapping up round 9 and wrapping things up here pretty quick.
250 East. Gotta take somebody. Former race winner. Give me, honestly, I kind of want to go with Caden Braswell because he's a rookie, but no, I gotta go with Marchbanks. Hopefully his engine stays together and he stays off the ground. Give me Marchbanks on the East.
That's a good one. I thought Checkers would go. I thought he was going to go Marchbanks instead of J Mart.
Yeah,
I'm not sold that Marchbanks is going to be healthy coming into the year.
Yeah,
by East still.
I mean, I don't know how. I mean, East is only round 5 this year.
Yeah, that's true.
February.
Well, we'll see.
I think he'll be racing. I just don't know if he'll be 100%.
Worst case scenario, we only have $1,000 on this, so and then I'm my team is stocked full. My 250 teams is just full of pro circuit and star guys, so I would be silly not to go with Levi Kitchen. My team kicks ass. Yeah. The only non on the 250s, the only non pro circuit or is Jet and
this is an interesting for only 3 of us playing this game. This is a pretty interesting group here.
Marchbanks. I'm surprised that nobody took Mitchell Harrison.
Well, Denny still has a chance. He has a 250 West Rider left.
No. Does Brad has all 4 of it? Brad has all 4 of his 450 guys then, right?
Yes, done. I'm done.
This is your last pick.
Yeah.
Who was his last 450 guy? Sexton, Craig, Roxon, and who else?
Nichols.
Nichols, that's right.
Remember when I took Nichols 10 picks too early?
like an hour ago. We took him.
Yeah, I took him
That's
before
like
the
somebody
show.
the other like said in our draft the other night when Brad or like somebody took Kitchen like in the second round or something like that. I was like,
Someone
totally
took
surprised.
Hardy Munoz in the 4th round.
No, he was the last pick, I think, for somebody who was going to take. I think he was going to take Kyle Peters. Remember, we're like, well, I don't think he's going to race that. He might not race at all.
Oh yeah,
So then
oh yeah.
took
He goes, "I'll take
Hardy.
Kyle Peters." I'm like, I don't think he's racing East. He's like, fine, I'll take Hardy Munoz. I'm like, I like your Peters pick better.
That was a hell. Yeah, you could. Yeah, him not racing might have been better than Hardy. Hardy makes some exciting moves. I'll tell you, he's not afraid to put that front wheel where it doesn't move.
The cardiac kid.
All right, I'm up with the second to last pick, the 29th pick of the 10th round of our Big MX draft with Checkers and Brad and myself, and I need a 250 West Rider. Kitchen is gone. I'm going to be taking the Brit, Mr. Max Anstey, who I almost took earlier, but was now still available.
That's a good pick for a last round.
Is also on a Honda. He's on the same team with Wilson, right?
Yes.
Yes. It's a great pick.
Firepower Honda.
Firepower. What's that froth? Is that a cleaning business of some sort?
Yeah, it's your Reeves basically version of Muck Off.
Yes.
And with the final pick, all right, well, let's see. So you just had to go Max Anstey on a Firepower Honda for the last West pick.
Yeah.
I just announced they're having a hard time getting parts.
I get a pick between factory riders, Jalik Swoll, Tom Vial, Nick Romano, possibly Hayden Deegan. Let's not forget about the dude that won the Horizon Award, Caden Braswell. Jace Owen, the dominant arena cross rider, who's a top 10 guy every time in Supercross. Kyle Peters, who might race as the new guy in arena cross, or Michael Hicks. Or let's not forget about last year's Rookie of the Year, Colin Park. Oh my gosh, the East is deep. From all these choices, I don't know who I'm going to pick. I have three or more factory riders to pick from still.
I know.
Just take Chance Hymas.
So much depth.
Yeah,
Chance
Viale's never
Hymas.
raced a Supercross. Romano's never raced a Supercross. Yeah, really deep.
Man, deep field. You know what? I think that
Going with Max Sanford.
oh, man, Hardy Munoz is still available. Cody Schock. Remember how good he was 2 years ago?
On a 450 outdoors when the 450 class was a triage unit.
We got Ken Zaro. We got Jared Steinke.
Lance Kobush, who was like really good on
factory rider Jalik Swoll.
All right, not bad. Remember when Lance Kobush was like a Team Green kid, like about to like set the world on fire, and then like broke his collarbone and did nothing after that?
He did really well at the Super Mini at the US or the Monster Energy Cup.
That's right.
I actually used to race with his dad. They're from Missouri, so I used to race with his father. Yeah,
I figured he was from the middle of the country somewhere.
He's a cool kid. When he actually quit for a little bit, and then
I think so too. Yeah,
on some Husqvarnas, and we did some stuff for him, and I worked with him a little bit, and he was a nice kid, and he's still got a lot of talent. Just it's hard when you lose that confidence and support and all that. All right, well, our draft is in. Oh.
I'm excited. I think I'm actually pretty stoked on my team. I'm really stoked. I think that was a lot of fun. Hopefully people enjoyed listening to that. Segment number 3. The I don't have a sponsor.
We're just springing this on Denny right now. He has no idea what we're about to drop on him.
Let's make this.
I need to get my charger here.
Are you low on juice? That's fine. We will make this the Maxima USA Maximal Racing Oil, sponsored by SC1 Debate with Debo. This is going to be a question that will be posted to Denny's Twitter in the future, where we're gonna like basically have people sort of ask some questions, gonna get some fan interaction. But because we literally came up with the concept for this show about 9 hours ago, we're gonna just kind of play things off. So we're gonna change things up a little bit here and go with a question to Debo. Should Chance Hymas, Ryder D, aka Ryder D Francisco, or Guillaume Ferris be racing full-time 250 East Series, making it possibly the deepest class that the 250s have ever seen?
Well, it's clearly not the deepest we've ever seen, but I do agree that both Chance and Ryder should be racing Supercross. They've already had a full season under their belt of running the futures. They're no longer going to Loretta's. This is their chance to shine. I don't understand why they would race the futures one more year. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Guillaume Ferris, the Spaniard, I don't think he has ever raced Supercross. I could see him possibly racing this future just because he's never raced much Supercross. But the other two, I don't think there's even a question. They should be racing full bore Supercross with the big boys, 250 East. Let's line them up. What else are you going to do? How long are you going to coddle them? I'm not a full believer. I think the futures are great indoors and out, but they've had their time. They've had their season. They've both proven that they're good at it. And let's get ready to race. So if they're not at the East, I'm going to have to call them a couple Sallies.
Like, we're on board with saying that Hayden Deegan has more time on a Supercross track than Tom Vial, right? Like, that is a fact.
Yes,
that's a fact.
Like,
yeah.
Like, can we just acknowledge the fact that KTM's trotting out a guy that has no more than 6 months on a Supercross track combined in his entire life versus a kid who did a backflip on a Supercross track, like the landing of a triple on a 65, like that. This is the world we're living in.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the trouble of bringing these Euros over here, these world champions, and then throwing them to a Supercross track. And imagine in the past when we had David Villeman had extensive Supercross experience. I remember going over to France and racing David when he was on a 125 and we were in the 250 class, and they combined him and he whooped all of our asses on a 125. Obviously Marvin Musquin has plenty of Supercross experience. And then you have riders like Greg Albertine who came over, Sebastian Tortelli, who did not have a lot of Supercross experience. And you can see
hard on bikes
how difficult it was to transfer over to that speed. Mikhail Pichon on the other end, super incredible Supercross rider, took to it naturally, had a lot of experience with it coming over. Although the guys who seem to have the most success were able to start out on a 125, which is now into 250 class, instead of being thrown to the wolves of the 250, now 450 class. So I think Tom Viala, I keep calling Frederick, which I believe is his father's name, who I remember was my age. I think Tom will hopefully survive and is not have to race the futures. But back to Deegan, I hope he races the East. I had a little message in with his dad, Brian, on Instagram, says that he's still they're looking for a little bit more speed. They're going to run the futures at A2 and possibly those go from there. So I guess we'll know come Houston on February 4th, whether or not we'll see Hayden Deegan, Chance Hymas, or Ryder D racing the 250 East class.
Well, I look forward to seeing what people have to say and sound off with Denny, and maybe others people out there that don't agree with us, because I think we're all kind of in agreement that you got to get your feet wet at some point. So we'll see how this shapes out. And if people have suggestions for more questions for this, let us know. Be sure to mention Brad at BigMx Radio, Devo, and myself on Twitter with some question ideas on things that you want to hear Denny sound off on and debate.
For certain. And then we're also going to throw in some questions in this particular segment. We might just pose a question to Debo about his professional career or his thoughts on a specific topic within the sport, like one of the highlights or a storyline that's going on in the series. Really dig into Denny Stephenson, because in all seriousness, it is absolutely wild to me. Like, I still sometimes have to sort of pinch myself that I have someone on the line here who competed the sport at its highest level when the sport, in my opinion, was maybe at its most vibrant and like, I know it's when I was a kid, but honestly, like, I'm looking up to a time period that I wasn't even really watching the sport, because I didn't really start riding until I was about 9 or 10 that's like 1999. So really cool to be able to pick the brain of one Denny Stephenson. From what he remembers, I'd imagine there is a little bit of brain fog due to beverages that were consumed.
CTE is real, kids.
Fair enough. Yeah, stay in school and play chess rather than
always wear your helmets.
Yes. Moving on to we're gonna do a little bit of a or some predictions for this upcoming race. As we said, this is a more of a prediction show or preview show for what's to come at Anaheim 1 versus sort of a look back, but also when we do these shows in the future, there'll be probably a little bit maybe a little bit of a shoulder check more than a review for the rounds that have come, and then we're looking forward to what's coming up. So like we're going to give our 450 top 10 and our 250 top 5 for Anaheim 1. It's nice to see that Jason Anderson has been added to the pre-entry list. Why he was been off there until like 2 days ago is kind of beyond me, but that's just someone over at El Hombre's camp not getting in the proper paperwork, I suppose. Yeah, I'll throw this over to Checkers. Give me your top 10 for the 450s.
All right. Well, I mean, we know we ripped through this as far as series ending previews in our little preview show. I'm going to mix it up a little bit, being that A1 is absolutely chaos and crazy. And I'm going to fire from the hip. So hopefully I'll count them as I go. I think your winner of Anaheim 1 will be Jason Anderson. Second place, give me some Malcolm Stewart. Third place, Chase Sexton. Fourth place, Eli Tomac. Marvin Muscan for fifth. Justin Barsha will be sixth. Ken Roxon 7. Dylan Ferrandis 8. Cooper Webb, actually Adam Cianciarillo 9th and Cooper Webb 10th.
Oof, that's some factory dudes that are not pumped about that.
What about the factory Husqvarna that's not on the list?
I was going to say, does Christian Craig know that you're mad at him?
No, actually, I think he'll do great at Anaheim 1. He's a great starter and he's super talented. There's a lot of guys you have to leave somebody off. And if I'm going to leave a guy off, I'm going to leave him off to prove my point. Wrong.
You're a moron.
I didn't see which one the arrow was to that said wrong though.
You're a maroon.
Just the whole list.
I mean, I did fire from the hip, but
Debo, give me your top 10, baby.
Well, we have the same winner. I think Jason Anderson's going to come out of this gate firing. A1, he's coming up under the radar. I really thought that there would be more pressure. I thought there'd be a lot more talk about Jason after an incredible season last year, both in Supercross and outdoors. Ending the season like he did with 4 or 5 wins in a row. I thought the world would be a buzz about Jason Anderson, and I thought maybe some of the pressure would lead to a little bit of a downfall in Jason. But from what I understand, he's got a daughter on the way. He is 100% focused. He loves the bike. He loves the way he's got his setup going out of Albuquerque back home and doing in California. So I have Jason taking the win as well at A1. And second, I have Chase Sexton. I think Chase will lead the race. I believe he'll tuck the front end in a corner and fall down and hand the race to Jason. And then
I can
Chase
almost
will get
see
up
it.
because those two, I believe, will be out about 8 to 10 seconds on the rest of the pack. In third, I have Justin Barsha. I have Barsha getting the whole shot quickly. Somehow Jason getting past him and Sexton get past him without him killing anybody yet. I think at least Justin will survive one round without committing complete murder on the track. In fourth, I have Malcolm Stewart, who will also just be kind of solid. He'll be chasing Barsha, but I think he'll want to realize I need to not do something stupid here. Let's keep everything nice and copacetic. Heading into round 2, let's get out of A1 with the top 5. And speaking of top 5, I have Eli Tomac in 5th. Eli's not known to really come out of the gate very strong, I think. I know that he has been not exactly happy on the 2023. That was previous rumors. So I think Eli will come out not necessarily with guns ablazing. I think he'll come out getting used to the bike, getting used to the competition, getting used to the track, and be happy with the top 5 and move on to round 2. In 6th, I have Christian Craig on the Husky, who I believe is going to have a stellar year if he can adapt to the Husky, get to those whoops, and use his smoothness. One of the greatest, smoothest riders I've seen, very similar to his father, who I grew up racing with. In 7th, I have Marvin Muscan, the Timex, the French Connection, the Pink Panther, the man that gives the best interview in the world. Give him a question, he'll talk for 15 minutes, much as I have with his top 10 so far. In the 8th spot, I have Ken Roczen, Mr.
Kevin Windham.
Suzuki. Yeah, Kevin Windham, exactly. He'll be doing a transfer in between the races. But no, in 8th, I have Ken Roczen. I have little to faith on the 2018 Suzuki. Again, nothing on the team, nothing to do with his mechanic, not even Ken's talent. I just think that the chassis is a heavier motorcycle. The excuse of a Kickstarter, I don't think means anything. If you fall down and got to kickstart your bike, you're not going to do great anyway. So I have Ken in the 8th spot. In 9th, I got Cooper Webb. I just didn't see a lot of fire out of Webb. He spent the summer racing off-road, doing local races, which, in a sense, you're going to probably maybe get a little more confidence, have a little more fun, get that good spirit going. I didn't think he looked very good at all at Paris racing the Supercross against everybody else. He's got to pick up a lot of his speed. He's back working with Alden. Is he happy? Who knows? I have Cooper Webb in a 9th spot. And rounding out the top 10, I got Dylan Ferrandis, the other French connection, who will probably start about 18th. He'll probably go down maybe once, but he will salvage a top 10. So that is my 10th spot at Anaheim round 1 of the 2023 Supercross and Super Motocross series.
Who did you have in 4th place? In
4th, I had
Barsha,
Mr. Malcolm Stewart.
Malcolm
3rd,
Stewart,
I had
27. Okay. Fair enough. Well, some variety there. The only commonality being at the very front. And I'm gonna break that up. I'm gonna go in reverse order because I like to have my surprise be at the very top.
Yes.
Builds the anticipation, kind of go around the outside and then sort of like back to the middle and then just keep working
capital
it.
T.
That's right. All right. So within the 10th spot, give me Christian Craig. I think that he has an up and down first race on the 450. He was like, even when he had a Star Racing Yamaha, he was not known for getting great starts. Not to say that the Husqvarna has been known to get bad starts, but I have an eyebrow raised, and I feel like Christian Craig's gonna be one of those guys who is, for lack of better terms, sort of getting through A1. You like get that under your belt and move forward. I would not be surprised if that's literally a direct quote from Christian sometime throughout the day or after the races and something like to that effect. In the 9th place spot, I'm going to agree with Denny and go with Cooper Webb. Cooper, to me, for whatever reason, he just seems like I really can't figure out what's driving him right now. From the photos, the videos, the internet, or the interviews that he's been doing, something seems to be missing as far as just like the guy that I've grew up watching, or I didn't grow up watching, but I've been watching pretty closely since he turned pro. He has a certain kind of that smirk when he knows he's confident, and he does not have that right now. So that's why I put him in 9th. In the 8th place spot, I'm going to go with Ken Roczen. Again, I think he's a good starter and he's good at the opening rounds. But with a limited amount of time on the bike, I think that he is going to be slotted somewhere around the 8th spot. And in fact, I think that's honest. If I had to bet, I think that's probably where I slot him in points for the year. I think he's going to have good nights. I think he's going to have dog shit nights, and that's going to add up to an 8th place in the points. In the 7th place spot, give me probably his worst Anaheim 1 since his first season in the class. Give me Justin Barsha. Just switching on to the brand new machine about 3 weeks ago. Like literally the photos that were taken with the new race bike was like within the first week of him racing it or riding it in race trim, which is, I think, is a I don't think that's a recipe for success in terms of him really setting the world on fire as far as results. In the 7th or 6th place spot, give me Marvin Muscan. Marv's always pretty good at the first rounds, and I sort of slot him in there. Also a guy who doesn't usually come out super hot, I'll put in the 6th spot is, or the 5th spot is Eli Tomac. Then give me, who do I have left? Now this is the other side of doing it in reverse, so I kind of losing who I have left. Give me Jason Anderson in the 4th place spot, then Malcolm Stewart, and Who's going to win this race is Chase Sexton. That was like the opposite of the crescendo that I was looking for. The climax was but I still think
Who was second?
that
Who'd you have second?
I don't know.
You went from fourth to third to first, I think.
I think I listed at least 10 guys.
I think you went Anderson, Malcolm.
My podium is Anderson, Malcolm, Sexton in that order, and I think Sexton wins.
Oh yeah, where was Tomac at?
Fifth.
That's why I had him. Yeah.
Yeah, like honestly, I would not be surprised, and this is something that's very common with Eli Tomac on a brand new motorcycle. Although last year he was still pretty solid. That when he's not adjusting to a new machine, and if he's totally dialed, he does not have this problem. He's one of the most fit guys on the line. But when he's battling setup, he almost always gets arm pump. And it's very debilitating. There's some guys who can ride with arm pump. There's some guys who cannot ride with arm pump, and he is one of the guys who really struggles with it. When he has it, not to say like he's going to get arm pump, but if he gets it, and a lot of those symptoms sort of arise when he's not feeling comfortable with the motorcycle, starts holding on too tight and gets his arms to pump up. Eli Tomac is going to fade back to like 5th, 6th, 7th. And that's where you saw him back in 2017 when he hated his Kawasaki. And
that's where he was last year. He went 6-4 the first 2 rounds last year. So yeah, that's kind of why I have him with this bike. Again, very similar, running about 5th, not feeling great with the bike, not feeling great. So he just kind of takes where he needs to be and moves on to round 2. So
here's a random question I have for you guys. I'll let you go first, Debo, and then Checkers. Who is most likely to leave Anaheim 1 like pissed about their finish? Like the most upset about how this, like, I'm starting off with like, yeah, who's going to be most sort of disappointed in how their season starts off?
I'm going to go Dylan Ferrandis. Obviously he's a former 450 outdoor champion. He struggled last year in Supercross, got hurt, missed pretty much the entire season, came out guns ablaze at Donations. I think he surprised us all. Did not expect that from him, although he did end up on the ground. I know in his mind, Yamaha's mind, his manager's mind, he wants to win races. He wants to be up front running Supercross. And I have him again back in 10th. You have him, I think, about the similar spot as well. I think Dylan Ferrandis is going to leave pretty pissed off that he is still not running the pace, still not seeing the lead pack, and still getting shit starts. What do you think, Chex?
I don't know if it's a rider. I'm guessing it is the team personnel at Red Bull KTM in general. Other than Marvin, I don't have any expectations for the guys at all, and my ones with Marvin are mediocre. I mean, if they get him to mow down the whoops or something, then maybe it'll change a little bit, or if it pours down rain like crazy and AP pulls off a win or something crazy like that. But I think in general, and if I have to narrow it down to one guy, I would say Cooper Webb is that guy. I don't think any of us have very high expectations for him, and I don't think he would be going racing if he didn't have high expectations for himself. But it's been over a year since I've seen something, so guess we'll see if he proves me wrong.
I hope whoever's doing the floor announcing gets a chance to interview Roger at some point during the night, because we all know Roger will not hold back.
It's brutally honest. Yeah, they need to go faster.
They need to go faster. I don't think they need. They look like they're going quite slow. They're off the pace. I love Roger. He never holds back. And yes, like I said, I hope whoever's doing the floor announcing gets a chance to interview him throughout the night, because he will will not hold back on what he thinks is going to happen. So.
Okay, give me the scenario right here. There's some like really crazy results that could happen outside the top 10. Let's just base this off of Debo's top 10. Let's go Anderson, Sexton, Barsha, Mookie, Eli, Craig, Marvelous Marvin Muscan, Roxon, Webb, and Ferrandis. After Ferrandis, it would be not crazy to see Colt Nichols there in that spot. It would not be crazy to see Shane McElrath in 12th, Joey Savacci in 13th. That puts possibly a guy like Dean Wilson in the 14th, 15th place spot. Like, there are going to be some dude that, like, oh, AP's not in your top 10, so he could be easily outside the top 12 like that. If I'm Aaron Plessinger and I'm rolling out of Anaheim 1 with a 14th place finish, I might be on full on suicide watch.
Well, I find it funny that you didn't have Adam Cianciarulo in your top 10, yet you said you had him picking to win a race before Stewart. So that's kind of an odd there. Did you forget Adam there, the AC?
Yeah, with that spot where I like couldn't figure out who should be in that like 4th place spot, just slide Adam in there.
Okay, all right then. That's got to be the spot, because I noticed him on my chart. I have him about 11th spot. I have Plessinger probably around the same spot.
That is where he faded to last year.
Yeah, and it's a tough group. It's top 10, top 15 are stacked. Like I said, I could see Dean Wilson, Savacci, Plessinger, Cianciarulo, those guys running from anywhere from 8th to 15th spot these first couple of rounds, and hopefully throughout the whole season. Let's God bless these guys, stay safe, and let's keep this class stacked throughout the whole season. And another thing I kind of wonder, and if I don't know if anyone really changed, I know it wouldn't really change my mindset racing. This is a sense, it's not just a 17 round series anymore. This is a 31 round series, including the outdoors and the 3 super motocross rounds. I wonder if this will change any rider's mindset into this is a full season that we need to accumulate points. There's $1 million up for grabs come LA Coliseum, October 14th. So I wonder if this will weigh on anybody, or if they're going to come in full bore and just treat this like a normal 17 round supercross season.
I think that'll come in the future. I think they need to do it a year or two first, to where they then maybe start to build a little bit of strategy. I don't know if you remember back when they started the Monster Cup in the Joker Lane. The first year there really was, everyone's wondering when do you do it or whatever, what was the strategy. By the end, if you had a good start, you did it at the end of the race. If you had a bad start, you did it at the beginning of the race, and that was like the known set strategy. Guys in teams, they learned and adapted to what worked.
Or you just forgot.
Or just don't do it at all.
Just don't do it at all. Like Filippo and Dungey each did in one of the races. It's crazy.
What's crazy is that the last round, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the last round, all 3 of those motos is for points. There are 76 points available at the last round of the series, which means that this is like in the 450 class or either class, there are 46 point paying motos going towards this championship.
Are all 3 races counted for points and all
only at the final round?
Yes. And they're double points. Isn't like the second round double points and then the third round's triple points or something like that? I haven't really locked my format down on that, but I think that they're double points. I think like the first round is worth single points. It's just an overall. The second round, which I believe might be in Austin at the at the America's road track, and I heard that might be double points, I think. And then the third round, I don't know if all 3 motos count or if it's just triple points or something like that.
I had heard triple points. I didn't hear that all the motos counted or anything along those lines. It was just single points, double points, triple points, which means that last round, no matter what, however they do it, it's going to be really heavy. And also because of that, if we don't know, the riders definitely don't know, because they don't look into this stuff at all. They just, Roxon signed up for World Supercross not knowing that he had to be on a team to be there, so.
Yeah, well, you're not going to say no to a Brinks truck either.
Right. You guys want to talk about a super deep 250 West opener that's so deep that Denny and I have had the same top 5 at the end of the championship because there's not that many choices?
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Top 5. I'm going to go first because I went last, the first one. And I'm going to go the opposite order. I'm going to go with Jet right off the hop. I think he takes the first win. I think he's honestly, I predict Jet having a perfect day. I think he's going to be the fastest in qualifying. I think he's going to win his heat race, and I think he's going to win the main event going away. Followed closely by the 55 machine of Austin Faulkner, as well as Styles Robertson. I think he's going to come out swinging right off the hop and get himself a podium. Then you got Cameron McAdoo and Max Voland.
Ooh, Max Voland in 5th. Wow.
That's right.
Big reach. Should have taken him on your team then. You didn't
Mitchell Oldenburg's going to get a bad start. That's the only reason why he's outside my top 5.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to go next then. We'll leave Checkers last in this one, so he can't steal my top 5. I'll start off with Jet. He's gonna smoke this thing as well. He's gonna make this thing pretty simple. Actually, I don't think so. I think Faulkner's gonna have the fastest lap time in practice. I believe Jet and Austin will each win their heat races, and I believe Jet will take the win over Austin Faulkner in the main. I would like to put Cameron third, but I think Cameron might crash in the main event and put him fifth. So I'm going to move RJ Hampshire into the third spot, Stylus Robertson in the fourth spot, and Cameron McAdoo into the fifth spot is my top five. So I got Jet, Austin, RJ, Stylus, and Cameron McAdoo. What do you got, Chex?
Well, I think Jet has a really big advantage here because he likes the spotlight so much. I see both his biggest competitors being Faulkner and McAdoo, and I think they're both going to come in more of the mentality, kind of like they did last year. Let's be on the podium and not blow this thing at round one, kind of that more mature mentality. So I think Jet, as far as being probably the best guy anyways, plus that attitude, he wins. Faulkner second, McAdoo third. I think those three are the most dominant guys in this class. RJ Hampshire will be in the mix maybe a little bit and then fade off later in the race into a fourth. And then really the fifth spot comes down to a toss up between really three guys, I think. Now that Denny has convinced me that Styles is going to be good this year. He's in the mix. Pierce Brown's in the mix if he can keep himself off the ground, or Mitchell Oldenburg. I think Oldenburg's the most solid of the group. So I'm going to put him in the number 5 spot to stay out of trouble at Anaheim 1 and round out the top 5.
Where do you have Max Anstey in this first round?
I would say I don't have a list with him, but I would say
round, coming off a pretty decent offseason, a really good offseason.
I bet he's 7 or 8.
7th or 8th.
Yeah. Oh, he's top 10 guy. I think honestly, just out of his like racecraft too, like, is that I could see him getting like a 10th place start and just sort of like picking off some guys and just like at the end of the night, oh, Anstey 7th, right on.
Well, I think we've covered like a lot of the guys. Do you guys want to take a minute and touch on just maybe some standout guys? Maybe we don't have to go through and pick our whole MXD team since we've talked about a ton of guys and done a ton of preview, but maybe point out some guys that you think are a really good value or a total terrible value over there.
Okay, I can start things off. I actually have my my MXD league up here, so I can just go through that. One sec here. I got so in the 450s, I actually ended up going with some decent talent in the 450s. 250s, I got some more bargains in there. I went with Dominique Thury as well as Cole Thompson. I think those two guys are going to be, honestly, I think we're going to see a lot of each other all season long on the West Coast. They're both good starters. They both qualify well. Cole maybe a little bit more than Dominique Thury. I got those two guys. I think they're pretty low price point, and they're like they're below the sort of average price point per guy, so it allows you to get some more, like, you get a little bit more later on. Robbie Wageman always does well on the West Coast, and like in these, especially in these early rounds, he comes out sprinting. And I honestly, I think he likes his Suzuki. And then Mitchell Oldenburg, because I hear he's flying at the press track, at the test track, 450 class. I think that a lot of people are sleeping on Shane McElrath. He's won Anaheim 1 multiple times on a 250. He's on a 450 and it doesn't have a lot of time, and it's a Suzuki and all that, but at $142,000 and change, give me him all day long. Adam Cianciarulo, great early rounds pick because he gets good starts, and he has better chance of being healthy this weekend than he does at any other round, honestly. And then that gave me a bunch of money left over to kind of break the bank on Chase Sexton and Eli Tomac.
That's a good run right there.
All right.
Go ahead, Checkers. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, on the 450 side, I'm going to focus on, since I'm a Race Tech privateer proven guy, point out there is room for some privateers to get in the main event, and I'm going to point out a few guys that I think have some value that could potentially make it into the main event. And obviously they're at a low cost. They're not going to get you your double points by being a hot rider in the top 10. But if you want to stack on, 5 or 6 points potentially from a guy, you could definitely look at John Short is only $6. He is pretty experienced, and he actually has a little bit of a team and a program this year. Brandon Scher is racing full time again, and he is really good. He's originally from the West Coast as well. He's riding KTM's in the 450 class, doing his own program. But with him being back a full time racer, I mean, he was making main events in the 450 class as a Club MX trainer that sometimes raced and scoring points outdoors. So for $15, he might be a bargain. You can't forget how good Clayson was last year at 35,000. I mean, he had a couple top tens last year. Granted, the field was much thinner, but I would expect to see him in the main event. He was in the A1 main event last year. So those are kind of some of the privateer standouts that I think are good values as well. My actual
even
team,
honestly, even A-rated $18, like that's pretty good. Like,
yeah,
I don't see him making into the main first rip, but like that's very cheap if you're looking to save some money somewhere.
yeah. I mean, he's in a much better spot program wise than he was a year ago for sure. And just where he's at. But I don't think I would risk $18 at Anaheim one on Alex Ray, unless you just need a filler guy. But if I'm going down that far down the list, I'm taking Brandon Scher at $15. Like I have much higher hopes for him. My 450 team is currently Ken Roxon, Joey Savacci, Adam Cianciarulo, which I think is a pretty good value, and then Cade Clayson. I spent more money in the 250 class than I did in the 450 class. I expect Roxon to get his best race of the year, and so then not being able to pick him at round 2 is kind of my thoughts, or get him away. He's still there and maybe can do it good. And then in the 250 class, I have Cameron McAdoo, and really I was a toss up between him and Faulkner on which to pick, but McAdoo was cheaper, and I think they're very close to the same. I think Jet was just too expensive, understandably so. I really like the duo of Anstey and Oldenburg that I have. And then obviously I had not much left to spend, and I went with the potential of Dylan Schwartz. I believe in that program a bit, just in Supercross that seems like they have stuff put together. I believe in Larry Brooks had brought him with over to.
That's a huge vote of
season.
confidence that he would take someone with him. That you don't even see that a lot in the sport, period, let alone
he has so much talent. So those are my guys there. I expect to see a guy like Jerry Robin in the main event. Austin Politelli, in my opinion, I mean, he makes 450 mains. Yes, he's big on a 250, but for $28, he should at least get you some points in the main event. Devin Harriman was awesome last year. I don't know if you remember the LCQ where he crashed 2 or 3 times and still qualified.
Yes.
Granted, much thinner field then, but
separated
those are
right
some of the guys
that's okay.
Those are some of the guys that jump off the page at me. I know that one of you guys mentioned earlier, Hunter Yoder, but that is my Moto Extreme team is McAdoo, Anstey, Oldenburg, and Schwartz in the 250 class.
Well, I find it funny that it's my website, I guess, and I haven't even bothered to pick a team yet. I've been so busy trying to get everything ready for all the different games what we've been playing, and our high rollers league that we got going for $100 and getting sponsors lined up, that I usually like to wait and even see some practice times. But I do know that I think these salaries are basically based on my own predictions of how I think the first round will go. Each and every week, the salaries will change based on their performance. Obviously, I have Jet at a very expensive $857,000, which is more than Tomac and Sexton and Anderson, because I think that he's the favorite to win. I think obviously Faulkner's even more money than either Tomac or Sexton.
Yeah,
because I think he's almost a shoo-in for the podium. I think someone of value maybe that I maybe underestimated would be someone like Mitchell Oldenburg back down there with $464,000 value. Someone like Max Anstey, perhaps. Colt Nichols, he's mixed up in between as a hot rider, so he's going to get a 10-point bonus if he gets into the top 10. We've talked about him, but maybe possibly breaking out here to A1. He's at around 589. And you're about the average between with a $3.5 million salary. You got to hire 450 for 250 riders with an average salary of about $437,000. So you kind of always got to look at it. When you go above that mark, you got to be prepared to go below that mark about the same amount. There's always nice to check out during those practice times on Saturday. I'll post times for everybody. I like to call it the cheat sheet, and see one of those guys who's only worth 10 to 15 to $20, and maybe get him, because that makes you go out there and able to get someone like Jet, Eli, or Sexton or Faulkner. But for now, I would say my team would probably be filled up with someone like Marvin, who's around 571,000. It would be probably someone with Oldenburg. I've tried so many different ways of going heavy top, light on the bottom, middle. It's just kind of a toss up. I also like Derek Kelly at 285. He's a good rider, good value right there. So I can't even give you a team right now of one of mine, but I'll give you some of those good values. I think Stylus is a good value. So if I could pick out the top of my head, I'd probably take someone like Derek Kelly, Cole Thompson, 2 hot riders in 2D class. And I saved some money in that. So that's going to allow me to go up a little more expensive. So I'm going to go maybe with someone like Stylus Robertson, and then RJ Hampshire, and then in the 250 class. Well, the 450, I would go with someone like Joey Savacci and Dean Wilson at the 42,517 mark. But then I'm going to have to stay around that 500 mark as well. So that might be putting me at Cooper Webb, which I actually have about 8th place this weekend. So I might be looking for someone cheaper, even maybe Josh Hill, Justin Hill, or maybe even just Kyle Chisholm at 321, who's a machine. You know, he's going to, when it's time to go, he's going to chiz. So Mike, I'd love to give you a bit more advice other than just pick smart, pick deep, to make sure to look deep in the field. Always look at your lap times on Saturday, and wish you the best of luck come Saturday, because we're all going to need it. It's going to be a crapshoot.
Oh yeah, and if anyone's looking for some like wanting to go super cheap on a couple of 250 guys who very well could find themselves in a main event, Devin Harriman, like Checkers said, I think he is a great pick. He goes fast. Same thing with Hunter Yoder, who it was a Geico amateur kid who had a ton of hype coming in. He's a West Coast kid. He's on a team this year, a little bit better setup than he had previous years. He could make main events for $16. That's absolutely redonkulous. Same thing with Chad Saltz, $27. Nope, like I could see him getting in the main right off the hop. And same thing with Hunter Schlosser. Hunter Schlosser 1 year, I don't think it was last year, it was the year prior, made 6 out of the 9 main events. And he's currently valued at $17. So yeah, go get him. Same thing with Caden Amaran. Caden Amaran was in the main event last year. He's worth $14.
And he was a rookie a year ago. He was a rookie.
That's right.
He does have some support. I believe he's on the Rocky Mountain Rides Unlimited KTM team this year, I believe is where he slotted it. I know he's on one of the support KTM teams, which last year he was on Team Tedder. So I don't know if it's an equal move or step up or a step down, but he does have some support. Amaran was the kid as an amateur that was just off of the factory guys. You know, you'd have your group of factory kids, and then Amaran would be there.
Yeah, his Yamaha's always look
sleep
sweet
on him, and there's a lot of room for these privateer guys to be in that West Coast main event. So it's not nearly as deep as the East.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, boys. This was really solid. I think we crushed it. What were you gonna say there, Debo, about how deep the West is?
The West is ridiculous. Way deep. West is one, but two riders I think of great value as well is those solitaire riders. Cole Thompson, Dominic Thury. I think you'd mentioned them both early. And in the 450 class, I think Kate Clausen, Logan Carnell, good value as well. Kevin Moran's. You know, it's a crapshoot when you start going those lower races. The most thing I've always thought in these early rounds is make sure all 8 of your riders are scoring points. Get all 8 riders in the main event. If you're trying to go cheap early and or maybe trying to go too hot early, I don't know. It's a crapshoot, like I said. I wish everyone the best of luck on every form of game you're playing, whether it be Pulp, whether it be MXD 360, whether you got a game going on RM, fantasy. It's a great game. Fantasy motocross, fantasy supercross. It keeps us old guys being competitive, I'll tell you.
For certain. And for those who sign up, and if you want to play in the main league for MotoXDream360.com, you guys are giving away a CRF 110 from Storm Lake Honda. That's pretty cool. And I signed up today. I got my team in, like I said, and yeah, I'm stoked. And I think I'm gonna have to get you a banner because I'm looking at the banner ads at the top of this website, and Race Tech's up there twice. And if I refresh, I think like Maxima was up there 4 times. So
it's like almost like slot machines. You just
exactly.
And see if you get all Maxima.
I like my odds.
Maxima, you win a gallon of premix, but for your 2-stroke. But you know, we also, the biggest thing is my buddy Jerry McGrath is sending a set of gear to me. He just got back home, I think today actually. And we were giving away an autographed set of McGrath's gear to basically an end of the year drawing. So all you have to do is sign up to play, $11.99, sign up. And at the end of the year, at the end of the season, we will do a random drawing. And you don't have to be a fantasy guru, fantasy expert. All you got to do is sign up to play, and your name will be entered in the drawing. So I think that'll be pretty cool. And thank you to Jeremy for that. And thank you to Jeff Schultz at Storm Lake Honda for his generosity. He's a huge supporter of the sport. And Schultz and Storm Lake Honda is one of the best.
Right on, boys. Well, for Checkers from Race Tech, thank you so much for coming on the show. Debo, lending us your time. Always appreciated. This is so much fun to break things down and get things hyped up for Anaheim 1. I'm running my hands together in 48 hours. We will be already on the backside. Actually, it will be about the main event will about to be dropping. And I'll be on the edge of my seat. They'll sell you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge. Boys, this has been so much fun. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. I know Checkers. You are Checkers 448.
Yep.
And Debo DBO 360 X2 or 2X.
X, I believe.
Just
I don't know.
X.
I got locked out of my account a couple of times. So I had to start a new one.
Money.
Basically, Denny Stephenson, anywhere to be found, I can be found somewhere. And if you Google my name, they might even be looking for me. So who knows?
Perfect. Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you're not already following Denny Stephenson, grow up. But yeah, for myself, Brad Gebhardt here at the BigMx Radio podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Over and out.